Welcome to the Gump
Report.
Gump Report. You never know what you're going to get. Welcome to 2022, bitches. Can't believe I just said that. Sorry, guys. I just recorded the first Gump Report for this year. You just saw it. Here's the second one. This is about Roman Reigns and a little bit of what happened with Big Swole because it just been announced and talked about with Tony Khan along with it. So let's do Roman Reigns. I just want to briefly talk about him. We found out at day one, and right around a few hours before day one was supposed to go on the air, that Roman Reigns caught COVID-19. He tested up positive, so he cannot be at day one, which he wasn't. And Brock Lesnar went from doing the Universal title on SmackDown, he went to the World WWE title on Raw and won it. We know this has happened. But what does this really mean? What does this really mean for WWE that Roman Reigns has COVID-19? Well, this is something that many people have been wondering what's going to happen to WWE if Roman Reigns is no longer able to wrestle. Now, this is my feeling about it. See it in this respect. Roman has been pushed for nearly 6 years, on and off. From 7 years going into 8 now. Take that back. 7 years going into 8. Since 2014, they have been trying to push him. No matter, in this case, now that he's a heel, before it was a heavy baby face that people just could not stand. And it's not Joe Anoa'i's fault. Not Roman Reigns' fault. Vince wanted him to be booked the way Vince wanted him to be booked. And then by 2020, when he had to go away for cancer, leukemia, and he came back, that he had a change, a face paint. He became a heel, and everyone just loves him as a heel. Now, here's the thing. The same thing that happened as a face is going to happen to him as a heel. Sooner or later, people are going to get tired of him, and Vince will push him down their throat even harder to continue giving us what Vince believes and wants. But this is what I want to say. By making him the most important man on the roster. Not talking about Charlotte Flair. She can be for her own video. But when it comes to Roman Reigns, he is the most important person that is on the roster that is constantly working. Not Brock Lesnar. Not Edge. Not Drew McIntyre. Those are the most strongest people they have other than Roman Reigns. But understand, here's Roman in Vince's eyes. Here's everyone else except for Brock, even though he's a part-timer. Brock is a part-timer, and he is here. Edge is here. Brock, Edge. As a constant worker, he's here. Drew, Lashley, anyone else below that. That's the way Vince sees it. But what happens if there's no more Roman Reigns? Particularly with the storyline they want to do with him versus The Rock, where everyone believes it. That Rock is going to face Roman Reigns to solidify Roman Reigns as a true main eventer that his own cousin will put him over. Well, here's the thing. It makes no damn difference. That's the thing that many people don't understand in this situation. Who gives a fuck about him facing a... This is hard to explain. But when you see Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, it don't mean a difference. It don't make a difference with Roman Reigns. Because the problem that we have here, even when The Rock puts over Roman, his own cousin, Joe, the problem we're going to have is that it's only Roman. And everyone is here other than the part-timers who are here. You have 2 part-timers on the main roster right now. Only 2. That have been well-known, well-loved, whose popularity is still high enough that can help. But you got no one other than Roman Reigns here, and everyone else is here. Roman goes away. Let's say he breaks his back, or breaks his neck, and I hope it never happens. Or he gets so sick because he gets like COVID, or his leukemia comes back again, which I hope never happens. I hope this is the last time he gets bothered with leukemia. Hope he stays healthy for the rest of his life, because that sucks. Or in this case, COVID-19 where he could have a heart problem like a Keith Lee did and was out for 6 straight months with inflammation of his heart because of the virus. Hope never happens ever again to a Keith Lee or to Roman. But once Roman's gone, what does this mean for the company? They got to keep bringing up people who are not over. Drew McIntyre was never over. Bobby Lashley, never over. Cesaro, never over. Kevin Owens, never truly over. He's been champion, yes. He's been multiple champions on several different titles. Lashley too. But has he ever been over with Vince? That's the person I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the fans, guys. When I say over, I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about Vince. Because you could have easily someone that can replace Roman like that. I click. There you go. Now I got it. You could have someone better than Roman. Vince won't position him. So what do you want? You got to get over with Vince, not the fans. The fans mean nothing to Vince. The fans mean bullshit to Vince. The fans, he don't care about them. He care about this. Vince is not a wrestler. Well, let me crank this. When Vince Sr. ran WWF, the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, he cared about, yes, getting some coin, but he also made sure he cared enough about the fans to see what the trends were at the time and what made people happy. He pushed the people he believed would make them happy because he could see it, and he kept the people back that either were not ready or that just didn't fit the mold of his company. When Vince Jr. took over in the 80s and went head to head with all the other promotions, which destroyed the promotions and created the indie wrestling scene we know today. Because I want to make this clear. Before Vince Jr. went up against the National Wrestling Alliance, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, Worldwide Wrestling, AWA, NWA, Stampede Wrestling, Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, any other wrestling promotion at the time in the 80s, there was no indie wrestling scene like we know today. There was just the wrestling companies that was generally under the National Wrestling Alliance. Now, mind you, there were smaller ones under them because you had the National Wrestling Alliance, all the other promotions with the umbrella of it, because that was one of the ones that was really apparent in the 1940s into the 50s. They all worked together. And then there was another layer under that of companies that really were not affiliated with the National Wrestling Alliance and all the companies that were with them. Because remember, with Ric Flair worked the National Wrestling Alliance. He went to Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. He went to AWA. He went to USWA, I believe. And all the other promotions that was working with National Wrestling Alliance to have a cohesive, smooth kind of work together where the champions of different promotions would get someone to work with from them that could be spotlighted in a different region of the country where people would want to care about them. That's what this was all about back then. But Vince Jr. destroyed that. Only a few of those companies exist, like the National Wrestling Alliance and a few others that are really not that strong, but they still exist. This little layer that was under the first one, that is the one that came up and became the indie wrestling scene we know today. Now, they merged some of them went away, some new ones came up after that, but that is what we got. But Vince destroyed all that. And now, if you're going to make this clear, the way Vince works, since he did what he did, Vince at the time only saw this and his daddy's approval. He even said it in an interview himself. The only thing I wanted to do was show my father my worth, and I craved his attention. He said that in an interview himself. So a young Vince McMahon in his 30s, who used to be a commentator as well as a ring announcer, not ring announcer, but I think a ref at one point, I think. He's done several jobs in wrestling. The only thing he wanted to do was get the money and make presentation. Yes, he had a great mind for the business because his dad showed him. He went and talked and worked with all the other people. He showed how smart he is, not as a wrestling promoter, but as a businessman. That is who Vincent Kennedy McMahon is. A businessman. Not a wrestling promoter who's a businessman, but a businessman who figured out how to take one genre and make it into a conglomerate, which it is still today, at him being, 76, 77 years old? I think he's 77 this year. So this is what we got. When Roman's gone, you have to get over with Vince. And that's the major issue. Vince doesn't care about what the fans want. Vince only sees it as a bottom line of a company, not a wrestling promotion, a company. So, what happened if, let's say he does not come back. He's out for 6 months like a Keith Lee. That's Roman Reigns. Joe Anoa'i. What will happen? Simply put, Vince will bring somebody up that's not ready. He will push them down our throats. Well, the ones who are still watching the product, because I don't watch the product. I only get hearsay and, not hearsay, I get highlights. And then I do the pay-per-views. But pretty much, he will push someone that has not been pushed right, who has not been booked right, who has barely any build, maybe. He'll push them. Because no guarantee that he will push a Bobby Lashley, or Kevin Owens, or Drew McIntyre, or Cesaro, or let's say it's Sheamus, and make them truly the one that is on top. It depends on who Vince feels is right. Braun Breaker is green as shit. But let's say Roman Reigns left. You know what Vince would do? If he truly didn't think anyone on the main roster is right, he'll bring up a Braun Breaker. Let's say he's really high on Braun Breaker. He bring up a guy from NXT who's really not ready for it, but he feels that he's ready. Even if he's not, he will bring him up and he will push his ass with a rocket end up his butthole, and we will be forced to watch him. We'll be forced to care about him. We'll be forced to accept him as either a heel or face. That's the truth. And that's what I think about Roman Reigns. Now, that was long-winded, but I had to do it. Now, here's the other thing. Big Swole and Tony Khan. Now, this is going to be a little controversial, guys. Now, mind you, when you look at JD and Jesse, as well as just Alex, they generally agree with one another. And I will be giving my thoughts and my agreement, but I'm going to be a little different in the approach because I'm not going to be gentle and I'm not going to be... Maybe it's because of how old I am and how I've seen the world, that this may come off as someone who really is so old who doesn't understand anything, out of touch. And I don't believe that's going to be the case. That's just what I'm thinking right now. But this is what I'm thinking. Now, the beginning of December, I'm going to explain now. At the beginning of December, Big Swole left the company. She left a statement roughly saying that AEW and her. AEW gave a statement saying that Big Swole did not re-sign a contract and we left in a mutual separation. Friendly like. Big Swole in her statement on that time said that I decided to leave, but I have a lot of love for the company and I hope to keep doing some work. One day I'll be able to come back. Roughly speaking, she tried to say something nice and friendly like. But, and this is something I didn't know, Big Swole has a podcast. And on that podcast, she said some things. Now, mind you, some of the things she said is true. But it's not just about the way she said it. It's about why she said it that not many people are understanding. It's not about the way she said it. It's why she said it. That's in my perspective. And she said generally this. She said, I had to leave because I lost a passion and I didn't feel comfortable there. The way the company works was off. Like when it came to how you want to get over, it's a little too loose. And there's no structure. that I like, that I feel comfortable with. Also, there's not enough diversity there. The diversity there, particularly for the women, is not enough. Why are the men getting more time than the women? I believe that the women should get more time. Now, I do believe and agree that the company's great, that the company has something there, but they need more work. They need way more than what they have right now. And that is the reason why I left. Now, generally speaking, that's what she said. She also started talking about race, about as a black woman. Now, I'm not going to elaborate too much on that because I can't exactly remember what it is, and I don't want to truly misquote what's being there and being told that you misquote the shit. But this is what I got from it. After hearing what just Alex had checked on it, I saw a little bit of Solomonster and also JD and Jesse. So this is what it comes down to. When she was there, and she started in the beginning, at day one, literally, when the company opened its doors, she was there. And she was spotlighted with Britt Baker, who was not ready at all like herself. This is what I got. We got a woman in a big swole that was in some very high profile moments, but is not a great wrestler. She doesn't have 5 tools, and even she herself stated she does not have everything needed. She needs more work. But with the problem of what happened with COVID-19, and also that the WWE released a huge amount of people, AEW got an influx of people coming in. And she was here at day one with everybody else. Some of them went well above her and proved that they deserved to be in AEW. Then people came in. Men and women. Not just women. Men too. And they were already seasoned veterans, or they were high profile. They also went beyond her. And because being so green still, she's here, a lot of people she started with are either here, or with new people coming in that were already veterans or high profile like a CM Punk or Bryan Danielson or anyone else like a Paul White, the Big Show, Mark Henry coming in. All those people pretty much took whatever she had at the time and she was superseded. And as someone who's still green in the business, someone who said herself that she's still not great yet in pro wrestling, she's got charisma. I could see that. As a wrestler, she was okay. But pretty much, she had no direction. And in AEW, where they're not heavily scripted at all, where it's about you, like in NWA. If you've seen NWA, you are required to go up to a podium and think on the fly what you want to say. Maybe you rehearse something. Excuse me. Maybe you rehearse something. Maybe you might have talked to Billy about a direction you want to go. But it's not heavily scripted there either. NWA and AEW are free reign like they used to be. When you used to go on TV, yeah, you could have someone write a script for you, but it's not something that was heavily common. You're supposed to use your head and get yourself over. And better yet, not only get yourself over, but the one that you're feuding with or working with, them over as well. And that's their job as well. Not only get themselves over, but to help you get over. Big Swole could not do that. Big Swole was here with everybody else when the company opened. And then we got all the people that she worked with and new people, and she ended up here. And when it came down to it, and now mind you, I'm not telling you that it hadn't been some type of issues, particularly with I'm not totally against Kenny Omega, but it was obvious the way he was booking. It sucks. When it came to the women in booking, he didn't try to show them enough. He didn't make sure that they had enough advertisement. It wasn't the fact they was not seen wrestling. It had nothing to make them feel like they were important as characters. Whether it's an American female wrestler, a Japanese female wrestler, a European female wrestler, a Mexican female wrestler, we didn't feel it because we didn't feel their characters. That was the problem for me. It wasn't just they wasn't wrestling enough. It was that we didn't know who they were. And whenever you saw them, you didn't have a feeling towards them, just like Big Swole, just like Hiro Kushida or Rio. Who is Rio? Who is Hiro Kushida? It's not about the ring work all the time that gets them over. You got to know who they are. And knowing that Hiro Kushida could speak freaking English and is a gamer, but we never see that on Dynamite, her talking about it. And we're not promoted to look at Dark or even see a snippet of Dark. That was the thing that got me. So when you see Big Swole, she got salty. And as a salty black woman, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, unlike everyone else, she was a freaking salty black woman that wasn't getting what she wanted. Now mind you, Big Swole has a lot of issues. She has a husband working in WWE, Cedric Alexander, who's not getting fairness. He's not. He had one moment with the Hurt Business, and Vince got rid of it. Really. And she does, I can't remember what disease she has. She has a problem with a disease that makes it even harder for her to get over, because a lot of times if she gets sick, she can't work. Now mind you, she has obstacles in her way. Her own man's not doing well, which is not great. Her own daughter sees her own man's not doing well. That makes it more difficult. And she herself, trying to get herself over, starting to grow her brand. But then one of the problems she has is that she can't really always be there for her kid and her man. And then she has a disease on top of that, which in wrestling, guys, understand, if both parents are wrestlers, it is not easy to balance a marriage. It's not. But on top of that, you're in two different promotions, you got kids, and on that also, you have a disease, a sickness that messes with your body. That does not make it easy at all. But, and I'm not justifying what she did, because this is what she did. Compared to everybody else, where they're trying to be nice about it and trying to say, why would you say this type of stuff? What was the point of it? And then they come around to saying, well, she wasn't that good. Then Tony had his comment when she said that. He said, all these people, he talked about pretty much the Acclaimed, talked about Jade Cargill, talked about Red Velvet, and anyone else, and said she was not that good, pissed off a whole bunch of fans, which was stupid. Now, mind you, many people say he shouldn't have done that. He should have been a professional as a promoter. Yeah, you got it right. But under the circumstances, you're dealing with a black woman. Who wasn't that great at first. She's still green in the business. I don't think she's been in it more than 5 years. She's still very new in the companies and business. And she got basically superseded by not only her own contemporaries. They went to here. Look at Britt Baker. She was actually lower than Big Swole at one point. Britt Baker was not a great wrestler, and she didn't really have much of a character. And I've said she should have done the dentist thing. But now she claimed what she's working. And even though I didn't like the gimmick, her being the influencer of the women's division, she even dropped that. And she is the women's division. And I agree with that. She earned everything she did. She went from here when she first started. She is here. She is well over, not only with her ring work, her charisma, her persona, her mic skills, everything was improved. Big Swole, still there. And that got her ass salty, particularly when she decided to leave and realized that she's not going to get a lot of opportunities out there as a still young in the business, mediocre wrestler. So you know what she did? The reason she said what she said on her podcast, which had no traction, no one even cared. She probably not even had more than 40 or 50 people looking at the podcast. Simple. Say something bad to the company, knowing full well that someone's going to say something. She didn't expect Tony Khan to say it, I'm sure. She did that on purpose to have someone say something. Not only Tony Khan spoke, not only Ty Conchi spoke, not only did anyone else in the company who is of some race, even a Leo Rush, got pissed off, who we know is controversial, who you know will say whatever the hell he wants off the top of his freaking head because he's a damn hothead, and think because because of his skill being so great, being a hothead and being a black man that always gets shafted, he gets the right to say whatever the hell he wants. Which gave her exactly what she wanted. Publicity. Advertisement. It's like if you worked in a company and you was like in corporate, worked in a company not really great because you were still new in the company and your performance was pretty much average. But you have a mutual separation from the company. The boss likes you, even though you're not one of the greatest workers. He or she likes you, gives you a good recommendation. But you know the recommendation is not enough because recommendation pretty much shows what you are, that you are an average worker, mediocre worker. So this person decides to go to the media and say my boss was nasty and disrespectful. And then the boss responds, and the other workers, and some of them are well known in the corporate industry, and that there's a media for the corporate industry, because like in wrestling, we got media of our own. She got exactly, or he got exactly what they wanted. Exposure. And now other corporations and other companies within the industry who reads and hears about the media within our industry, that's corporate. Now they'll say, oh, this one got treated bad. Maybe she's got something there. Maybe we should hire her. That's exactly what this was about. This wasn't about her getting not any fairness and there was no diversity for the women and that there's some type of culture in the back. No. Now, mind you, is there issues in AEW? Yeah, there is. There's a lot of people there. They don't have a lot of TV time. Even with Dark and Elevation and Dynamite and Rampage, there's not a lot of space. There isn't a lot of time to film, to show everybody. We know this. This is one of the things a lot of people are worried about. They bring in so many people, it's going to be hard to show them all. It's going to be hard to present them. Like I said, when it comes to Impact Wrestling, you got to have good booking, good presentation. It is important that it's not about hiring as many people as you can to make it work. You got to make sure that you got the presentation and the booking and storytelling down at least enough to make it all work. So, it's understandable that there's some type of issue. But the issue she's talking about, bullshit. It's bullshit. And as a mixed black man, I'm not going to let her ass get away with it. And then all people going to say, hey, you're just racist. Motherfucker, I'm half black. I'm a mixed black man. Even though my father was Puerto Rican, my mother was mixed black, which makes me mixed black. So don't tell me shit. I don't give a damn. I'm not like most of these people who want to have diversity because they need it, because like in a movie, we need enough black people to show that this movie means something. Fuck that shit. Make a movie that works. If it's got to be all white, fine. If it's mixed, fine. If it's black, fine. Like in wrestling, the same thing. I don't care what fucking race you are, as long as you do your job. Now, Big Swole, let's get to that. Did she do a good job? She was okay. When I saw her, I thought she was okay. She wasn't the greatest, and she was, in some cases, sloppy. Some cases, she was all right. I remember she had a match with Nia Rose, both of them having braids in their hair, and the only thing that mattered was how much braid was going in Nia Rose's face, because she didn't even bother to tie up her hair to make sure that it didn't hit her in the damn face. She left all that shit out instead of tying it up like Nia Rose did, and she got smacked her in the face with it. It showed how sloppy she was. So she's still green in the business, and she's sloppy, and she knew she was, and when she broke off, because just like Tony said, which, did he need to go there? No. But he went there because she deserved it. It doesn't make a difference if he should have done it or not. He was honest about that shit. He said it, and she got exactly what she wanted. She isn't going to get angry because she was told in social media she didn't have what we needed. This was about her clearly getting exactly what she wanted. Publicity. Trying to use the black card. Because that's what the fuck she did. I'm sorry. Just because she got a husband in the other company that's not being treated right, a daughter or a son at home, and having a disease makes it right to actually say it's not fair as a black woman that things are not great. Fuck that shit. Earn it. This isn't like when I was 5 years old back in the 70s. 1976. It's different. Well, I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Please give me... No. the Gump report. Please give me comment. My time ran out. Please give me a comment below. And I'm going to see if I can find out when NWA USA is going to be showing. I don't know when. I'm hoping it's not going to be overlapping anything. It's going to be a big mess if it is. But I want to see it and review it. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.